In the previous tutorial, we've worked on some of the CSS available in Bootstrap 4. In this part of this video series, we're going to discuss some more CSS and the JavaScript options that are essential for every Bootstrap-based websites. Specifically, we're going to discuss the following: navbar, navs, forms, media objects, progress bar, carousel, tooltips and popovers, models. Before we begin, we will need to set up our markup for our examples. Our HTML document will begin with the HTML5 doc type to specify which language and version our document is using. Then on our head section, we can place our bootstrap.mean.css. I will be using a CDN link for this tutorial. However, feel free to use the source files by downloading it here and linking it to the head section. For performance purposes, I placed the JavaScript files at the bottom of the document, just before the closing beta tag, which includes jQuery.mean.js, bootstrap.mean.js, tether.mean.js for our tooltips. Again, all of these are CDN links. You can use the Bootstrap navbar component to create a responsive navigation header for your website or application. This responsive navbar initially collapses on devices having small viewports like mobile phones, but expand when user click the toggle button. To create a navbar, simply follow these steps. The first one is you need to create a nav tag with the class of navbar along with the navbar-dark, bg-inverse class. This will be the color scheme of the navbar. Next, inside the nav tag, put an anchor tag with the class navbar-brand. This will be the logo of the navbar. Next, add an unordered list with the class nav along with the navbar class or navbar-nav class. Finally, for each list item, add a class nav-item and a class nav-link for each link inside. Let's see this in action. As you can see here, we have a plain simple navbar. If you want to add a different background color to your navbar, you can use the combination of a simple link color modifier class and a background color utilities such as bg-primary and bg-warning, or simply use the style option to render a custom background color. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see here, I have three navbars set up. The first one has the navbar-light class as my color modifier and bg-faded class as my background color utility. The second one has the navbar-dark as my color modifier. This one will display a darker color version of the color that I will set here, which is bg-primary as my background color utility. The last one contains a custom style by using the style equals to background-color hash E7-4C3C. Let's see this on our browser. As you can see here, we have three navbar with different colors. Next, I want to talk about the navbar alignment. If you want to align the elements of your navbar, you can use the pull-left or pull-right class to achieve this. On this example that I have here, I use the pull-right class on my navbar items to place the navbar links to the right. Let's see this now on our browser. Great, it exactly did what we set on it. One of the best feature added on Bootstrap navbars is the drop-downs. You can add a drop-down to one of the li elements or list item elements of the navbar-navlist by adding the drop-down class. You also need to add the data attribute data-toggle is equals to drop-down along with the area dash has pop-up is equals to true to indicate whether this element may display a pop-up window, as well as the area dash expanded is equals to false to indicate the state of a collapsible element. For each item of the drop-down link, you must add the class drop-down-item to add styles on it. Let's see this in action. As you can see, it added an arrow on the profile link where we set up the drop-down codes, and then when we click on it, the drop-down links comes out. You can also position your navbar in fixed position either to the top or on the bottom of the screen upon the mouse scroll by using the navbar-fix-tap or navbar-fix-bottom. Just place it along with the navbar class here and it will easily propagate it. Let's first try the navbar-fix-top class. As you can see, the navbar is fixed on the top. Now let's try the navbar-fix-bottom. Great, and it fixed to the bottom. One final thing that I want to discuss is about responsive Bootstrap navbar. You can achieve this by using the navbar-toggler class on the bottom along with the dated attribute data-toggle is equals to collapse and data-target with the ID of the navbar. You can then add one of the navbar-toggleable classes. This navbar will collapse at a given viewport with depending on the screen size or key or the key terms you set up on the navbar-toggleable class. You can use one of the following classes: navbar-toggleable-xs, navbar-toggleable-sm, navbar-toggleable-md, navbar-toggleable-lg, navbar-toggleable-xl. Let's see this now on our browser. As you can see here, it has a toggle options on large screens. Bootstrap provides an easy way to create a basic nav components like tabs and pills. Bootstrap 4 provides a variety of options for styling navigation elements. All of them share the same markup and base, which is nav class either within the UL or nav tag. You also need to add the class nav-item for each list items and nav-link class for each anchor tags. Bootstrap also provides a helper class named active or active class to specify the active page. Let's try this out on a UL and a nav tag. As you can see here, on an ordered list, it displays them in a vertical navigation, while on the nav tag, it displays them inline. You can also create a tabular navigation by using a basic unordered list with the class of nav along with the nav-tabs class. You also need to add a class nav-item for each list items and nav-link class for each links. In addition, you can also add the class active to specify the active page. Let's try this out on our browser. As you can see here, we have an elegant tabular navigation. To create a pill navigation, you just need to use the nav pills or nav-pills instead of nav-tabs. As you can see, it sets our menu in a pill format navigation. You can also stack pills vertically. You just need to add the nav-stack to the class nav-pills. Let's see this in our browser. Great. Our navigations stack on each other. One of the prominent features of navigation is that you can add drop-downs on it. Just add the drop-down class on the list item element followed by its classes and data-attributes. This is almost identical on the navbar drop-down. Nothing special here. Let's see this on our browser. Great. As you can see here, our portfolio link has drop-down links. One of the Bootstrap great features is the ability to create forms with ease. Bootstrap makes it easy by just using simple HTML markup and extended classes for different styles of forms. To use Bootstrap Forms, simply add the class form-control class to any form components such as input, text area, and select tag. You also need to wrap each form component to a fieldset tag along with the class form-group. Let's see this basic form on our browser. As you can see here, we have an elegant form set up with Bootstrap. You can also add a color for each fieldset by using any of the following classes: has-success, has-warning, has-error. This class can be used inside a fieldset, div, or any tag element. Let's see this on our browser. As you can see here, it added a color on each fieldset groups. You can also create a horizontal form via Bootstrap. This one stands apart from the others not only on its markup, but also in the display of the form. To use Bootstrap horizontal form, use form-horizontal class inside the form tag. You also need to add the form-control-label class to the label tag for it to appear vertically centered. Don't forget to specify how many columns each form component should span. As you can see here, we have our horizontal form set up with these lines of classes. To create a form where all of the elements are inline and labels are left aligned, simply add a class form-inline to the form tag and use the form-group class within a div or fieldset tag to organize each fieldset. Let's see this on our browser. As you can see, our fieldset sits next to each other. Media objects are abstract object styles for building various types of components like blog comments and tweets. These features are left-aligned or right-aligned image alongside the textual content. The goal of the media object is to make the code for developing these blocks of information drastically shorter. You can create a media object in 3 steps. First is you need to create a div with a class media. Next, insert a media-object class to any element you want to float, such as img tag or video tag. For the alignment of the media element, you can add one of the following classes to the parent element to control the position of media objects: media-middle, media-bottom, media-left, or media-right. By default, the media objects are set to top aligned position. Finally, create another div inside the class media and then insert the media-body class. In addition, you need to add the media-heading to any heading tag inside the media-body div. Let's see this on our browser. As you can see here, our media objects has an image on the left and text on the right. You can also nest media objects by simply adding another media object structure inside the div with the media-body class. Let's see these codes on our browser. As you can see here, we have a nested media objects right after the main media objects. Progress bar displays the assets that are loading in progress or there is an action taking place within the page. Bootstrap default progress bar has a light gray background and a blue progress bar. To create a progress bar, use the HTML5 progress tag with the class of progress. Inside it, insert a value attribute from 0 to 100 to indicate where progress bar was at. Let's see this in our browser. As you can see, we have a plain simple progress bar here. You can also add or use a variety of color classes which are identical with the button and alert classes for consistent styles using the progress dash class. That will be the progress dash success, progress-info, progress-warning, progress-danger. Let's see this in our browser. Cool, we have a variety of color setup here. Finally, let's talk about the progress bar stripe and animation. To create a stripe progress bar, just add an extra progress-stripe class to the progress tag. You can also create an animation using the progress-animated to the same tag. Let's see this in action. Great, as you can see here, our progress bar is animating. Bootstrap includes a handy plugin and component for cycling through slider images like a carousel. Bootstrap for Carousel is a flexible and a responsive way to add a slider to your website. Aside from being responsive, it allows you to add images, videos, or just about any type of content that you might want to add. To create the carousel, you can just follow these steps. First, create a wrapper div and add the carousel and the slide class with its own ID. You also need to add the data-ride is equals to carousel attribute to start the carousel's animation immediately when the page loads. Next, we need to create an ordered list for our indicator controls. These are the little circles at the bottom and the sensor. And then, add the carousel-indicators class here on the ordered list tag. Then we also need to add the data-target is equals to ID of the target element along with the data-slide-2 is equals to the ID of the element to specify which slide to go to when clicking on the specific dot or circle. Don't forget to add a class active on the first element. This will be the starting item of the carousel. Now create another div container for the scrollable contents. This is where you will put your contents. Add the carousel inner class inside it and give each item a carousel-item class. You can also add a new div element inside right after adding the images and give it a class carousel-caption for the captions. Next, for our previews and next button, we will use an anchor class with the class left and carousel-control for the previous button and class right and carousel-control for the next button. Let's see how does this look like on our browser. As you can see, we have a descent slider here which has a caption, a navigator, and the images. You can also manually call the carousel with JavaScript using the following codes. There are also some methods that you can use for carousel. Tooltips are used to describe a link or provide a certain information about a word or of an abbreviation. The plugin was originally based on jQuery.tipsy plugin written by Jason Frame. However, in Bootstrap 4, it moved to Tether.js, a third-party plugin. If you want to use this, you can simply include the tether.min.js just before the bootstrap.js. To add a tooltip, add a data-toggle to equals to tooltip and titles equals to the title itself to an anchor tag or button. The title of the anchor tag will be the text of the tooltip. You also need to add this JavaScript code just before the closing body tag. This script is used to trigger the tether.js. Let's see this in action. As you can see here, we have a nice tooltip with a tether. Next, for popovers, you can simply add the following data attribute to your buttons. Data-container is equals to body, data-toggle is equals to popover, data-placement is equals to top or either top, bottom, left, or right, data-content, and you place the contents here. Then you also need to use the script here to activate the popover via JavaScript. Let's see this on our browser. As you can see here, the popover Works as we expected it to be. A model is usually a pop-out window that is layered over its parent window. Its main purpose is to display content from a separate source that can have some interaction or action without leaving the parent window. To create a static model window, check this code. There are two data attributes that can trigger the model via link or buttons. The data dash toggle is equals to model, which will open the model window directly. The data dash target is equals to the ID, so that we can access the ID of the model. Next, inside the model part, we have a div which has an ID that is the same as the value of the data dash target attribute used to trigger the model. In this case, it's my model class. Here are some more class attribute that was used inside. The model class to specify the content of the div element. The role is equals to dialog attribute is for accessibility for people using screen readers. Model dash dialog class, which will create the width and the margin of the model. Model dash header class for the model header styles. Close class, which will style the close button. Model dash body class, which will handle the style for the body of the model. Model dash footer class, which will handle the style for the footer of the model. Note that this area is right aligned by default. Let's check this out on our browser. So when I click on our button, our model will pop out. You can also use this JavaScript to call a model. Just place it before the closing body tag within a script tag. And that's really it for this tutorial. Don't forget to always visit the documentation on this link for the latest updates.